Hi, everyone. I hope God's been blessing you today. Today is January 21st, 2023. So I'm gonna start off with like 1997. And by now I've been married for a couple years. We got married in 94 in Florida. And all that is in episode 6, which I'll link in the description box below if you missed it. And so, you know, by now I've been going back and forth with my husband, living with him, not living with him, being separated, not being separated. And I'm currently giving him another chance. So now it's 1997 and, you know, he's got a job at a restaurant and I'm not working. I'm raising the kids. And I had already found my dad and everything. And I was hanging out with my cousin a lot, my younger cousin a lot at this time. And we were getting to know each other. And, so I guess we'll start around here because when we got married in 94, I think what I didn't mention in that video is the stuff that I started to find out. So when we got married in 94, I had found out, probably like a couple years later that on the day of the wedding, my best friend, who was the maid of honor that came down with my mom from Rhode Island to Florida, her and him had sex in the bathroom where we were getting married before the wedding took place. Oddly enough, that was probably a couple hours before when I started to have the hives on it. In episode 6, I explained like that day I'm like getting hives and I just don't want to get married and I don't understand, like, and of course my mom forces me. So anyway, I probably knew something was going on, but I didn't really know at the time. So, that happened. And we'll say that was the first strike that I find out about. Now, I didn't know at the time that had happened, because if I knew that at the time, I would have already left him way earlier than the first time. And so, after we got married, he went back to the Navy. And then that's when he like eloped from the Navy, like when they were at dock somewhere. And 1995 was the only year out of our whole marriage that we were together the whole year and spent it with the kids. And so it was, I find out, now, before 97, I find out that while that was happening, he had cheated on me again. And, I'm going to tell you something. It was really difficult. So this is the whole thing. I was heavy. I was very heavy. I was probably like at my heaviest, around this time, probably like 250, 260, because I had already had the 2 kids. And to be perfectly honest, like my life was weird. Like I was married, but then we didn't get along. So then we weren't really living together. And then, most of the time we were separated. And most of the time, and then some of the times I was trying to give him like another chance, like, all right, let's, I'll forgive you. Let's do it, give it another chance. And mind you, during this whole time that we were married, he was very emotionally abusive, like emotionally and physically sometimes, but mostly emotionally. The things that he would say to me and put me down and stuff. And of course, I had already had all that growing up with my mom being put down and not really having the love that I was looking for then. So, and then meeting my dad and that all turning into weirdness. Yeah, pretty much I didn't really feel like I was a great person. I had really bad self-esteem. I was depressed all the time, but I love the fact that I had my kids, and my kids were my joy, and that's pretty much all I had. And I didn't really let a lot of the other stuff bother me that much. But I will say in like 97, I'm, that's it. All right, we're going to give it one last chance because remember, I'm Catholic. My mom's forcing me to be with the father of the kids, and she's telling me, oh, you can't get divorced and blah, blah. You know how they treated me so I'm trying really hard to, you know, push through it, let him, let's try and work things out because I didn't have a dad. He didn't have a dad. His dad took off. He had a stepdad, but his real dad took off. So I'm thinking, okay, I can't do this to my kids. They have to have a dad. So I'm going to do whatever I can. I'll suck it up for my kids. So like I said, I'm at my heaviest. He's constantly telling me that I'm never going to get anyone else, that, it's a good idea that we get back together because no one else would ever want me and all this stuff. And so, a lot of emotional abuse, like pretty much like being told, that you were worthless and everything. It just eventually it gets to you. I'm sure there's people out there that have probably had the same stuff happening to them. And that's why I'm talking about it, because I know that I'm not the only person. I do know that I'm not the only person that's gone through this stuff. And by the way, I'm not talking about this stuff because if you've noticed, I've kept everyone's name out of this because I don't want to pull anybody's personal name into this because they all have different lives now. This is years ago. And I'm just trying to talk about my journey. Their side of it could have been totally different, the way that they seen what was going on at that same time. I mean, he has probably a whole different outlook on the whole situation than I do, but I'm just telling you my side of the story. So I'm going to move ahead and I'm going to talk about a little bit about my cousin. So, I'm really getting along with her. We're starting to hang out. We got a lot of things in common and everything. And, I talk to her a lot. So I'm talking to her, about my husband and how he's treating me. And she's trying to encourage me and telling me, oh, you can't put up with that crap and all this stuff. And of course, she didn't trust him. She would tell me a lot, like, I don't trust him. I think he's still cheating on you. And, once a cheater, always a cheater. I heard that a lot, and I was just like, oh no, I'm just gonna, whatever. No, and I would, push it away or whatever. And then one day I can remember like really, really well, he came home from work and he told me to start cooking like right away. And I said, why? And he said, well, I invited a friend from work to come over and he's going to eat supper with us. And I'm like, oh, I don't have enough food for someone else because I had already, invited my cousin over and I didn't have enough. And I said, well, and he's like, well, he's coming. Like, he'll be here in a couple hours. So just start cooking. So I was like, whatever. I just started cooking and I'm in the kitchen and I'm cooking and his friend comes over and I get introduced to his friend and his friend's like super nice and, gives me lots of compliments on the cooking and how good the house looks and how great a mother I am and all this stuff. But it starts to make me feel really uncomfortable because I'm not used to getting compliments. I'm used to being put down. And so I don't know how to act and I'm just very quiet. And so I was like kind of waiting for him to leave because he was making me very uncomfortable. Um, Man, looking back on it now, I'm just like, geez, like he was just trying to be nice. But when you've constantly had, negative so far, like this whole time, it's hard to just believe people that are telling you the actual truth. I just thought he was making stuff up, just trying to be nice. So anyway, we'll move ahead. And there was this one time, well, first of all, this guy starts hanging out with my husband like all the time. Like he's at my house like all the time. Every time I turn around, like they're together, and I'm not jealous. Like I'm happy that he has a friend and he's hanging out with him and everything. But the guy makes me uncomfortable because he's always giving me compliments. He's always telling me how beautiful I am and all this stuff. And I'm just like, yeah, okay. And because remember, I'm fat. I'm fat. I know I'm fat. And I don't, and my husband doesn't let me forget that I'm fat. And so to hear someone tell me I'm beautiful when I don't think I'm beautiful, when I don't love myself, that's just weird. It was very weird, very uncomfortable. And I don't know. It was very, I didn't like it. And, but he was nice and I was nice to him because I'm not a mean person. So, I was always nice and talking to him and stuff. And then one time, so my mother-in-law worked, so all of them worked together. My mother-in-law worked at this restaurant. She got my husband a job. And then of course, this guy was working there already. And so they all working together. Well, they're going to have like this huge party at this restaurant, like huge party. There was like 200 people coming to this restaurant and they needed help, like waitress help. And my mother-in-law wants me to help. And I'm like, yeah, that's not going to happen. And I'm like, I'm not carrying any food to the table. I'll probably knock all the stuff over. I'm not good at that. And she's like, you don't have to do anything but get salads and bread and bring it to the table. And I was like, I mean, it seemed easy enough, but then I was like, man, I know I have to like tuck in my shirt into these pants and I'm fat and I don't want to, I'm embarrassed. And I just don't want to I don't like being in front of a whole bunch of people I don't know. But anyway, she convinces me to do it. They're going to pay me, cash at the end of the night. And of course, I got 2 kids. And so I said, all right, fine, I'll do it. And I go to the restaurant and there's a lot of people in there. And my mother-in-law brings me in the kitchen and she shows me like where the salads are and where the salad dressings are. And then down this like hallway is where the bread is, like all the way at the end is like the spot where all the bread is. And it's already cut up in little baskets. And all I got to do is go down this hallway and get it. Well, as she's showing me, I look over in the kitchen and there's my husband's friend is working that night. And I'm like, oh, good grief. I can barely fit down the hallway because I'm so fat. I can't fit, like, I have to go sideways down the hallway. So I'm super embarrassed. And I was just like, I don't know, this is embarrassing. So anyway, I don't mind my dog. She like losing it. She wants to be in the video. She loves you guys. And so, I'm glad like I felt like the night took forever. Like I felt like that whole party took just such a long time. It was like hours and hours and hours. Finally, it's over and I get to go home and I'm like super happy. I'm like, yay, I'm finally out of there. I don't have to do that anymore. Well, then, now I'm skipping like over so much information because, I just want you guys to know like a little bit about me and other stuff will come up during like, if I can do interviews and stuff with you guys. I'm sure other things will come up, but I'm just trying to like point out some big memories that I have. So there was another night that comes to my memory. I'm cleaning the house and my husband comes home from work. And I know I just told you, like, my cousin does not trust my husband. Okay. She definitely thinks that he's still cheating on me. She wants to prove that he's still cheating on me. She tells me all the time. So anyway, this day he comes home and I'm doing laundry. And so my cousin's there and she's watching the kids while I run up and down, because the laundry's in the basement. And we live on the second floor and I have to run down to the basement and change over the laundry and stuff. She's just watching the kids. Well, he comes home and he gets in the shower and I run downstairs. I said, all right, I'm going to go and change over the laundry. And she's like, okay, no worries. And then I run downstairs and I'm getting the laundry all changed over. And when I come back upstairs, there's no one in the living room. And so I'm like, okay. So then I go to the kids' room because I'm thinking, all right, my cousin's in there with the kids. I go to the kids' room and they're playing quietly and, with their toys and stuff. And my cousin's not in there. And I'm like, okay. And I look in the bathroom and the door's open. I'm like, all right. So my husband must be in the thing. And I'm like, where the heck did my cousin go? So, um, yeah, I open the door to my bedroom and I see them having sex with each other. And I close the door and I go sit down on the couch and I wait. And then, a few minutes later, they come out and, well, he comes out and he comes over to me and he's telling me that, like, oh, it's not what you think. That wasn't my fault. Like, she seduced me and all this stuff. And really, and I was just like, oh, okay. She seduced you. Okay. And so he's, giving me a line of crap and all this stuff. So I'm like, okay, well, whatever. I said, I'm not gonna deal with this anymore. So I said, get your stuff and get out. So he packs all his stuff and he's like yelling at me and telling me you're gonna take me back. Okay, you're gonna kick me out now, but don't worry, I'll be back and all this stuff. And I'm like, no, you're not gonna be back. Well, what happens? Someone knocks at the door and it's my husband's friend. And we're having an argument. And I'm like, yeah, this isn't a good time for you to come over. And he's like, well, I heard a lot of yelling, let me in. And I was like, oh no, everything's fine. We're just having an argument. And I said, but really, I don't think it's a good time for you to come over. And he's like, nah, I'll wait for him or whatever. And I was like, all right. So he comes in and my husband sees him and he's like, oh dude, can you like bring me to my mom's house? Cause she's kicking me out of the house. And he starts asking like, what's going on? And I'm mad. So I said, well, I just caught him in there having sex with my cousin. So yeah, kicking him out. And so, uh, you know, his friend says, all right, I'll bring you to your mom's house. And he looks at me and he goes, everything's going to be okay. And I said, yeah, I'm going to be fine. So anyway, he leaves, brings him, he's got like, a bag of stuff and he leaves. And mind you, my cousin's still in my bedroom. And they leave and I go in my bedroom and she's dressed and sitting at the end of the bed and she's crying. And she is telling me that she's sorry and she knew she had to do that. She knew she had to show me that he was still a cheater. And, I told her to leave and she left. And then I was, sulking. Oh my goodness, look at my baby doll. So I'm sulking and everyone's gone. It's just the kids. I put the kids to bed, give them a bath and everything, put them to bed, and I'm just thinking about everything that happened and even thinking about it now, I'm just like, wow, it's kind of crazy. I was so mad at my cousin. But the more I thought about it, the more I thought to myself, maybe she did me a favor. So I'm not talking to my cousin for a while. So I'm going to say weeks, possibly a couple months go by. And during the time that nobody is, I'm not talking to my husband, I'm not talking to my cousin, my husband's friend, like, comes over and asks me how I'm doing. And, I thought that was nice, and I told him, like, hey, listen, you don't have to get, you're friends with my husband. you're allowed to be friends with my husband. You don't have to worry about me. I'm going to be fine. And he said, well, I don't know if you know this, but the only reason I was friends with your husband is because I really enjoy being around you. And I knew if I hung out with your husband, I could see you more often. And I said, well, that's nice. And, but remember, I'm not used to attention, good attention, I guess. And so he's trying to console me and telling me everything's going to be fine, telling me that I'm a wonderful person. I'm going to find someone really wonderful. And, you know, he's going to stand by me and help me through, if I need anything. So anyway, he's, he becomes a really good friend. Like he's really good for my self-esteem. Yeah. He really, really helped me, gave me a lot of encouragement, gave me a lot of compliments, told me things that I've never really heard, uh, you know, how good of a mom I was and everything. And, he was great with the kids. And so some time goes by and I think to myself, okay, I think I'm going to ask my cousin to help me. And so I want to get divorced. Because now I'm like, that's it. 3 strikes and you're out. I'm not going to keep dealing with somebody that doesn't want to be with me. And so I get a hold of my cousin and I invite her over. And she comes over and I tell her, hey, listen, I'm sorry I haven't been talking to you, but I needed time to do a lot of thinking. And she understood. She told me that she understood. She's surprised I'm even talking to her. But I said to her, well, I need you to do me a favor. And she said, what? And I said, I'm going to forgive everything that happened if you go with me to court and tell the judge that you slept with my husband. So I have proof, actual proof, because I want to get a divorce and file on the grounds of adultery. Because I have proof of like the other times, but if you go with me and you're testify, I think that I would be able to get a divorce. And she said she would do it. She would do anything because she loved me, and she only did that because she knew he was still cheating on me and he was always going to cheat on me. So I said, all right, well, that's what we're going to do. And I got a lawyer and we ended up going to court and I got divorced, I think somewhere around 90, the end of 97, 98. And I'm back to living by myself with the kids and we're used to that. I'm used to that. The kids were used to that. I mean, the only full year that we were actually with all of us together with my husband was 95, and the kids were so young that they probably don't even remember that. So, you know, it's not like anything different. They probably were just like, oh, dad's here, Oh, dad's gone. Oh, okay, dad's here. I don't even know if they realized it at the time. But yeah, so that's pretty much, the most I'm going to talk about that right now because, you know, it still saddens me to know because because there's some stuff that I'll talk about in some videos coming up and you'll understand why it's sad for me. But right now I'm going to stop here and I want to say something though. I don't want you guys to think that I'm saying this stuff because I want to like uh point out all these things that these people have done to me. That's I know I've said some stuff that people are probably like, holy cow, I wouldn't have put up with that. and good. I hope you didn't. I hope you don't. I don't want people to go through what I did. And to be honest, I wish I was stronger. I wish I was stronger. I wouldn't have put up with it either. But I am who I am. And to be perfectly honest, I think it's made me who I am today. I don't think I would go back and change anything. But I just and I don't hate anybody. I It's been such a long time that I don't really like have any ill feelings towards anyone. I love my cousin. I still love my cousin. I don't We don't talk that often, but I do love her. I don't want anything to happen to her. And to be honest, I wouldn't want anything to happen to my ex-husband. I hope he's happy. I hope he has a great life right now. I have no idea, but I don't want anything bad to happen to anybody. I never have. So I just I don't want you to feel bad because things aren't that way anymore. And you'll know the more videos I put up, you'll see where I am today, and it's totally different. And so, again, I hope you're enjoying these videos. I'm glad you're on the journey with me. I appreciate everyone who's watching them and everyone who will watch them in the future. I'm excited to get to know everyone. If you want to leave some comments, leave some comments. I mean, I'd love to hear from people. I will absolutely listen to anybody's comments. I mean, I might not take everyone's opinion, but I definitely am not one to shut out other people's thoughts on anything, because we all have the right to have our own thoughts. So anyway, I'm going to let you go for now. I hope you have a blessed day, and I'll see you on the next video.